All right, welcome back. So now we're going to talk about social and political reasons for regulation. So as I mentioned before, the government has to step in when in some way the market or businesses do not provide essential services that society needs in order to function in some sort of a normal way. And the first one we're going to look at is socially desirable goods and services. So socially desirable goods and services, well, let's think about what that means. So that basically means that for whatever reason, businesses do not provide certain services, so the government provides those. So let's think about some socially desirable goods and services, and some examples might clarify. Okay? Think about, for example, police, military, the post office. Okay? These are services that the market would not normally provide. Okay, these are not services, nobody really thinks, well, I'm going to pay a certain amount of money for police protection on this given day. No, it's a service that's always around. Nobody thinks, well, I'm going to pay a certain amount of money to have a military for the country. No, okay? The government makes these decisions for us, and they kind of aggregate it to provide these goods that help society function in some sort of a normal way. Or the post office. Again, the post office on a lot of these rural routes out in the countryside, they don't make a lot of money delivering mail at these locations that are really far out of the way. So the government steps in and provides these services at a rate that people can't afford. It's somehow socially subsidized. Another example is also in almost every country, farming. Okay? Farm and agricultural products are usually heavily subsidized for the government to make products like milk and meat, peanut butter, cheese. These kinds of products become affordable for everybody. Otherwise, the prices would be too high. Okay? So this is a good example of socially desirable goods and services, making sure that people are protected, making sure that people have access to basic food. Think about public education. That's a socially desirable good and service, so no matter what your income level is, you can achieve a certain and basic level of education. That's a good thing too. Okay? And we've also got socially desirable production methods. Okay? Socially desirable production methods. Okay? Think about throughout history, businesses again can kind of take shortcuts when it comes to the production of goods and services. Again, because they're trying to look at maximizing profits. Now, what kind of happens in the meantime? We think about companies that pollute. Okay, companies like in some of our cases that we talk about, that maybe dump chemicals into the local water supply in order to make a profit. Well, the government, of course, steps in to make sure that companies don't do that. Okay, that's a social example of a socially desirable production method. You will not pollute the environment up to a certain extent in the pursuit of profit. Another example, remember we talked about in our business history lectures, child labor. Okay, again, it might be more profitable to have children do certain kinds of work. However, in the eyes of society, this is morally undesirable, so the government steps in to make sure that we don't have child labor. Okay, so this is an example of socially desirable production methods. Okay. Resolution of global and national problems. Resolution of global and national problems. Well, what would some of these be? Think about global warming, for example. The government steps in to make sure that companies don't pollute excessively in the interest of global warming. Or What about foreign aid? Okay, giving money or food or these kinds of things to those in developing countries who are in need. Okay, so the government steps in because business does not provide those services in some way. Okay? And then finally, there's regulation to benefit special interests. Regulation to benefit special interests. Think of, for example, of course you see this periodically in the news, maybe some lobbying group, as we talk about later in this course, has convinced a congressman that yes, it may not be the most economical to produce certain kinds of goods in a certain region, but it provides jobs. Okay. Yes, we realize that it's not good for the entire economy to have production located in a state, but it provides jobs in an area that has a high rate of unemployment. Okay, this is an example of a regulation that benefits special interests. Or it could be, some of us know about like AARP, for example. Okay, they've lobbied to Congress to make sure that certain regulations are passed to benefit the elderly. Okay, again, does it maybe make sense in a pure economic sense? No. But is it a good idea for the benefit of society? Yes. So the government steps in to provide those services. So we'll go ahead and stop this video here, and then when we come back, we will start picking up about the history of regulation in the United States.